Hi Founder fans, Jason here, and today's founder is John Lewis Gervais. Now John Lewis Gervais was born in Germany and moved to South Carolina as a young man. By his mid-30s, he had established a successful merchant firm in South Carolina, and that's just about when the Revolutionary War started happening. So Gervais had made a name for himself in South Carolina and had become fairly respected among his peers, so much so that he was put on the Committee of Safety, which essentially ran the militia until the rebels took over the government, at which point it ran the government. That is until a new government was created after independence had been declared, at which point he was elected to the South Carolina State Senate. Furthermore, he was sent to the Continental Congress. While he's at the Continental Congress, he was mostly responsible for committees which work with foreign affairs, having been born in Germany and knowing some of the workings of Europe, although a decade had gone by at this point. But still, Gervais was the one responsible for writing letters to John Adams and Benjamin Franklin in Europe, and he helped be the American counterpart who secured loans and assistance from those nations, which were extraordinarily important to the Americans winning the war. Furthermore, as time went by and the war was won, John Lewis Gervais was the one who recommended to George Washington to negotiate with the British regarding the forts. Instead of just letting the British abandon the forts and then the Americans go in and clean up whatever's there, he's the one who recommended, and this is what did happen, is George Washington, or at least someone representing George Washington, go and have an orderly transfer of the forts to the Americans so that they weren't destroyed and could still be used by the Patriots and the Americans after the war was over. Now, John Lewis Gervais did return home, of course, after a while, and when he did, went back to the South Carolina State Senate. And while he was there, he did several things with his fellow senators, but this new state needed a new capital. And several places were recommended for the capital, and John Lewis Gervais recommended a strange one: Columbia, South Carolina. Now, Columbia, South Carolina did end up becoming the capital. At the time, it was a little bit strange because it was very sparsely populated compared to some other towns and cities in South Carolina, but it was extraordinarily centrally located. And what's interesting about South Carolina is if you look at maps of the time, North Carolina ran all the way to the Mississippi, and Georgia ran all the way to the Mississippi. Several states ran all the way to the Mississippi, but South Carolina was surrounded by Georgia and North Carolina and actually had the same borders primarily that it has today. And therefore, we still have Columbia, South Carolina as the capital because it was centrally located within borders that they knew would stay primarily the same. So that's the life of John Lewis Gervais, not Ricky Gervais. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to say thank you for watching. If you're new here, definitely subscribe. I put out videos like this 4 days a week, plus a fun live one on Wednesdays where we talk about the articles I've written in the past week. Additionally, I'd like to give a big thank out to my Patriots on Patreon. If you'd like to help support this channel, please check out the link below. Thank you again, and I'll be back with a live video tomorrow.